just want to say thank you for being here and holding space for a story that's very personal to me. Today's video is about something that has deeply changed how I understand myself, my health, and my family. I was recently diagnosed with 7q11.23 Duplication syndrome, a rare genetic condition that I honestly had never heard of before 2025. Um, in this video, I want to share how I found out, the science behind the diagnosis, how my sister and niece were diagnosed first, what my genetic testing showed, what my genetic counselor recommended, and how this diagnosis has impacted me emotionally as an adult. This is part education, part awareness, and part personal story. And if you're here because you or someone you love is navigating genetic testing, I hope this helps you feel less alone. If it looks like I might be reading a little, I do have notes on my Word document. One of the symptoms I do have struggles with talking without notes and getting my point out across. It's hard for me to kind of um, kind of come up with what I want to say on the spot real fast. So that's why I have notes to look at. So that's why if I'm reading, that's why. So how this all began. This journey didn't actually start with me. It actually started with my niece, who was tested first and came back positive for the 7q11.23 duplication syndrome. Shortly after, her mom, which is my sister, also tested for it, and she as well tested positive for the same duplication. Seeing that happen in my immediate family changed everything. Um, when something shows up in both a parent and a child, it raises questions, not just about them, but about the entire family line. And suddenly I started reflecting on my own life, my own traits, things I've experienced since childhood that never quite had an explanation. Um, that was the moment I realized I needed to get tested too. So, why I decided to get genetic testing. I've always been someone who felt a little different. I've always been quiet, shy, and sometimes struggled with communication, especially under stress and anxiety. Um, and yeah, I have to say, when I was younger, I was extremely shy and quiet, almost to the point I was basically mute. I kind of had a little selective mutism. When I was younger, I didn't talk to anyone unless it was in my immediate family, mom, dad, sisters. That was it. Um, Social situations could feel very overwhelming, and they kind of still do at times, when I'm in large crowds. If I go to like an amusement park or somewhere fun, try to have fun, I get very anxious and overwhelming when I'm in large crowds, and it's kind of gets a little too close for comfort. Processing things took time, and I often wondered why certain things felt harder for me than they seemed to be for others. As someone studying biomedical science, I understand the power of genetics. So, after talking with my doctor and knowing my sister and niece's results, we decided to, well, my doctor referred me to a genetic counselor, and we decided to do a chromosomal SNP microarray test. I went into testing with curiosity, but honestly, I didn't expect didn't expect a definitive answer. My genetic test results. So, my genetic test results. When my results came back, the report stated positive pathogenic CNV detected. Gain at chromosome 7q11.23, approximately 1.55 to 1.56 megabases in size, involving about 32 genes. That seemed like a whole lot to understand, but in simple terms, I have an extra copy of a small region on chromosome 7. Instead of having 2 copies of that region, I have 3. That extra genetic material is what's called 7q11.23 Duplication syndrome, and that moment changed everything. So, what is 7q11.23 Duplication syndrome? Let's talk about the science without making it overwhelming. So, all normal human beings have 46 chromosomes, which carry our DNA. Chromosome 7 has a specific region called 7q11.23, sometimes referred to as the Williams-Beuren critical region. Most people hear about this region in relation to Williams syndrome, which involves a deletion of that region. But in my case, and in my family's case, it's the opposite. We have a duplication, meaning extra genetic material. The genes in this region are involved in things like brain development, language and speech pathways, social behavior, anxiety regulation, attention and executive function, neurological development. Research shows that people with this duplication can experience speech or language differences, anxiety, ADHD like traits, autism spectrum like features, learning differences, hypotonia, which is also another word for low muscle tone, and sometimes physical differences like macrocephaly. But here's the most important part: it is extremely variable, meaning even within the same family, the duplication can affect people very differently. So, what this diagnosis meant for me. When I read my results, I expected fear. Instead, I felt relief. For the first time in my life, things made sense. Why I struggle to speak when anxious, why I process social situations differently, why I've always been more introverted and sensitive, why learning sometimes required different strategies. This diagnosis didn't change who I am. I've lived my entire life with this duplication, not knowing I had it. What it gave me was context. It helped me stop blaming myself for things that were never a personal failure. It helped me be kinder to myself. And emotionally, it connected me even more deeply to my sister and my niece. We now share something we didn't know existed, but that has always been there. So, genetic counseling and medical recommendations. After my diagnosis, I met with a genetic counselor, and this part was incredibly important. He emphasized that the diagnosis isn't about fear, it's about awareness and proactive care. Based on what's known about 7q11.23 duplication syndrome, he recommended one, a kidney ultrasound. Some individuals with genetic syndromes can have subtle structural kidney differences. So this is purely a screening measure, nothing scary, just thorough care. 2, an echocardiogram. This checks heart structure and function because this chromosomal region can sometimes be associated with vascular and congenital heart differences. Um, so it's recommended even if you feel fine. And what I've read, it's related to dilated aorta. So that's why you need to want me to have an echocardiogram, make sure there's nothing going on with something like a dilated aorta. And 3, follow up with an adult congenital heart disease clinic. Um, this doesn't mean something is wrong. Um, these clinics specialize in genetic and congenital conditions in adults and are best equipped to monitor long-term health. What mattered most to me was this. I wasn't just given a diagnosis, I was given a plan. Why awareness matters. So 7q11.23 duplication syndrome is considered rare and many people go undiagnosed, especially adults. Some people spend their entire lives feeling misunderstood, mislabeled, or unseen. So I'm sharing this because rare doesn't mean insignificant. Quiet struggles still matter, and understanding your biology can be incredibly empowering. If you've ever felt like something about you didn't quite fit, it doesn't mean you're broken. Sometimes it just means you don't have the full story yet. So if you've made it this far, thank you truly. Sharing this wasn't easy, but it feels important. And if you or someone you love is navigating genetic testing, I hope this video helped bring clarity or comfort. Your DNA does not define your worth. It doesn't limit your potential. It's simply one part of your story. And thank you for listening to mine. Please comment, like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. And I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.